Hello guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. We're just gonna get right into it. So the video that I'm doing today is a little bit different, actually very different from the videos that I normally do on my channel. If you are a subscriber, if not, subscribe. But you know that I do lots of fun type videos. But today we have a serious issue, okay? And it's been going on for a couple of days. And I just feel like I need to say something to people as a whole and not just one specific person in a conversation, because this conversation has been brought up, especially with me, many times. People who know me know that I am very forward and direct on my ideas and beliefs on women's rights. And that is not something I normally share on my YouTube channel, but I feel like I should because it's part of who I am and what I stand for. So this is like the main reason why I wanted to share this video with you. If you do not know what's been going on in the community, in the states, and the United States in general, basically there has been a bill that has been proposed and is working on being passed about abortion with women, obviously, and that includes birth control as well, and IUDs and Plan B. I've heard as part of that. I don't know that Plan B is for sure, but it has been mentioned. And I'm just gonna read you something that was on my Snapchat story. Well, not on my Snapchat story, but it was in my Snapchat stories while I was looking through, and it just really got to me in a way. It didn't really like make me upset, but in a way it did, I guess, because this video is coming out of it. But I will put screenshots and everything on the side so you can follow along with me, so you can really know where I'm coming from. The new states that passed abortion laws did a fantastic job, in my opinion. Finally starting to respect human life again. I don't think abortion should be allowed for any reason other than rape of a woman under 18 or possible harm to the mother. So, the first issue with that is, one, abortion laws doing a good job, which is an opinion, but I will explain why it is definitely not doing a good job. And I feel like people are just uneducated, and even if they are, like, after watching this video, after seeing a whole bunch of other stuff, even if they do still believe that, that does not mean that they are wrong necessarily. Like, I respect people's opinions 100%, but I feel like you need to be educated on both sides before you can make an actual opinion. And I have heard a lot of the other side, and I have my strong opinion, and that is what I'm going to share with you. Second issue in just this first little paragraph is, I don't think abortion should be allowed for any reason other than rape of a woman under 18. That little section right there. So, what I'm getting from this is that he specifically doesn't believe abortion should be allowed even if a woman over 18 was raped. Which, anyway, we're just gonna move along, and I'm just gonna tangent when I need to tangent. You shouldn't be allowed to have an abortion just because it's a convenience. You are the irresponsible one, so grow up and own up to your mistakes and give that child a good life. Next time, use proper protection as a precaution. The heartbeat is a way to tell that it's not just your body, it's the developing body of your son or daughter too. That doesn't give you the right. This stuff gets me fired up because I care about life, and we're supposed to value human life. Where has that gone? Now, I'm just gonna get this out of the way right now. Being pro-choice does not mean being pro-abortion. Just because I am pro-choice does not mean I am pro-abortion. Most women, and even some men, do not think that women should be allowed to have abortions because they are a convenience. I have not personally had an abortion. I do not know many people who have. But I do know that having an abortion is not a convenience. If someone has an abortion, it is not because it's a convenience. Abortions are scary, they're dangerous, they're expensive, and they're sad. Like, I can't even imagine getting pregnant and getting rid of that child. Like, people in their normal state of mind, like if they are not mentally ill in any way, and I don't mean that as like an attack at like people with mental illnesses, because you guys know I do have mental illnesses, but I'm talking about like the serious ones. I'm not throwing attacks at those people. I'm just saying, if you have a quote normal mind and you are not quote psychotic, like by definition psychotic, it is not easy to just get rid of a child that is inside of your body. Then you were the irresponsible one, so grow up and own up to your mistakes and give that child a good life. As if giving a child a good life happens at the press of a button. Giving a child a good life is so difficult. Obviously, I don't have a child. I like do not say this from experience of my own, but children are literally the future, and that sounds so cliche, but you can't just say, yeah, I'm gonna give this child a good life and be completely successful. Even if you keep that child, you do not give it up for adoption, you do not have an abortion. If you keep that child and you do not have the money or the time or the security to raise a child, like that just gives that child a bad life. And I will read this through my responses. So I did message this guy, and we did have a very heartfelt conversation about it. It was obviously argument, but it wasn't like bashing against each other in any way. Owning up to someone's mistakes about a teen pregnancy, sure. But what about if they're not mentally, physically, or financially stable enough to take care of it? Then what about the child? It has to suffer a difficult life. Giving a child a good life is not as easy as a push of a button, as I stated earlier. And he says, which is why you give up the child for adoption right after birth. Then continues to say, the adoption rates are considerably higher because there has been no prior influences on the child. That's why most kids in foster homes do not get adopted, because they're too old, and most families don't want to correct other people's mistakes in raising those children. It is sad but true. So basically, he just proved my point. If you are forced to have a child, you cannot get an abortion, you cannot use birth control, which we are going to get into, like birth control. The topic of birth control has not even started yet. But if you are forced to give birth to that child, like this is the part that people don't understand. You develop that child inside of you for 9 months. You have to deal with the symptoms. So like morning sickness, sickness in general, fatigue, being tired all the time, and you have to change your entire eating habits, even when you have those pregnancy cravings. You have to do this for 9 months. You feel the baby kicking, you feel like everything happening to it, like you know that's a human life and it is yours, it is inside of you and you are helping it develop. And then you actually have to go through the process of giving birth, which is not the easiest thing in the world to do, and that is an understatement. And then not only that, you have to pay for giving birth to the child. Like you have to pay to give birth to the child. So this is why I respond with, can you even imagine how difficult it would be to go through all the medical bills, and not to mention pain, giving birth to the child, then after getting a connection to it right after birth, having to give it up for adoption. And then not every child is adopted. They have to live their lives wondering if they're really loved by anyone, having no family. And the mother would have to live with the fact that she had to give up her own child. Like, people talk as if adoption, abortion, and all these things are just like things that happen and you move along with your life. If you have an abortion, like, it is not just something you do for fun. Like, you do not just decide, most people, I can't speak for everyone, but most people do not just decide, hey, yes, I'm gonna have an abortion and then just go back to the way my life used to be. That's not how it works. Again, not speaking from experience, but that is definitely not how it works. When you have an abortion, it is something that is pain that you go through because you had that child inside of you that was developing and then it's just gone. And you have to deal with that pain mentally and sometimes physically, because abortions also are dangerous to the woman's body. So again, giving that up to another family, which can be good for the child if they do get adopted, but again, that woman who gave birth to that child is their biological mother, and she has to deal with that the rest of her life, and so does the child. And then he says, I know this, but it's all stuff we have to go through. Or get an abortion. I believe that we have to protect human life through and through, which I respect. I respect people who have that opinion of like protecting human life no matter what. And I also, like most people, again, if their brains are normal, most people are still pro-life. Being pro-choice does not mean pro-abortion, which is why you should stay abstinent or use protection when having sex. It's something that must be done. Because I hate to see millions of kids who could have had tremendous lives. It's all ripped away from them and it's not their fault. And this I also understand. You know, like we could have so many amazing people on this earth that are on the earth because of abortions. But again, if the woman or the woman and man, if they're together, do not have that stability or mentality, or they're just really not ready, they don't have the money, that child most likely won't grow up to be as happy as they could have been if they did have that stability. I'm not saying that makes them less of a person, but the thing is, it really bugs me, and I'll pull up a picture that I have that I screenshotted from Twitter. It is not my picture, it was off of Twitter, but it's the sign, and it says, you're pro-life until the baby is poor, transgender, black, gay, Mexican, disabled, sick, etc. Like, we always think, what if that baby was something amazing? But what if it wasn't? Then would you decide that like they could have had an abortion, it would be okay, just because you knew that you knew how they would turn out? Does that make it any different? And I feel like for some people it would. Not for everyone, but for some people it would make a difference, and that's what bothers me the most, probably. One of the last things I wanted to mention about abortion is that it's really no one's business what a woman does with her body. So my thing is, if you are strictly against abortion just because of beliefs or religion or whatever, like, that is fine. Like, you have the right to be able to be against abortion, but that doesn't mean you have the right to decide for everyone else that they cannot have an abortion because of what you believe. If you are against abortion, okay, like, go talk to Shirley about why you're upset about someone having an abortion, but don't go trampling on Pam because she has to have an abortion because of her situation. Hello? I don't know how long that was in focus. Mind your business. If you want to be pro-life, be pro-life. If you want to be against abortion, be against abortion, but for yourself and not for other people. We cannot decide what other people can and can't do based on something that involves them, especially for women, because it is a woman's right to decide these types of things. Just the main thing with abortion, mind your business. Just mind your business. Mind your business. The fiery, burning, blazing part of this conversation that I had with this guy on Snapchat. My main issue is with the law itself, and I know it's not technically a law yet, but this is just what I use in the situation. Like, I know it's a bill and whatever, it's not even passed yet, blah 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 blah. But it's not just dealing with abortion, it's dealing with not covering any sort of medical birth control, which has absolutely nothing to do with abortion, which is true. And then this is what got me. This got me, okay? That's false. Who's the woman? Anyway. It's a completely different law that hasn't been into effect and probably won't be. It was just introduced. And I support it. Insurance companies shouldn't be paying for it just so women can have unprotected sex for pleasure. Now let me tell you, it's a woman's choice. If it's a woman's body, it's a woman's choice. And we keep saying men, like when women talk about this conversation or about this topic, we say men not because all men believe this and not because no woman believe this. It's because the people who are directing this are mainly, like 99% of them are men. The people representing the bill, the people trying to pass it, and the people that agree with it mostly are men. So we're not trying to attack every man, because not every man believes this and not every woman agrees with what I'm saying. So that, I just wanted to throw that out there. Birth control is not just about sex. Birth control helps menstrual cramps, and if anyone tries to tell a woman that menstrual cramps aren't that bad, and they have never had menstrual cramps, they just deserve a smack in the face, like a big old whack, okay? I personally have really bad menstrual cramps, and I know a lot of other women do. Birth control actually helps with those cramps, because sometimes ibuprofen just doesn't cut it for that type of stuff. So I said, birth control isn't even just about sex. It helps with dreadful menstrual cramps, helping the cycle itself, reduces chances of ovarian cancer or cysts in the ovaries, and cysts in the ovaries have become more common lately, and can help prevent depression. Girls and women who are not sexually active still take birth control for these reasons, which have nothing to do with unprotected sex. Birth control is not just about sex. Yes, it helps prevent a pregnancy, which one has nothing to do with abortion, because here's the difference. Abortion is getting rid of an already fertilized egg. Sperm, egg, fertilized. Abortion is coming in and just ripping that all apart. Birth control prevents the sperm, the sperm and the egg from joining. It is a barrier. So when they say that birth control is against everything because it's abortion, it is not abortion. And then he says, I know this. I support reformulation of Plan B so it can't prevent a pregnancy but still has all the other pluses. So, menstrual pills. I spent a lot of time researching and forming my opinions. The heartbeat bill and the introduce bill are two different things, which is true. Those two things are very different. But reformulation of Plan B so that it prevents pregnancy but still has all the other pluses is not Plan B. It is Advil. So I go on to say, Plan B is an emergency contraceptive, not a form of birth control. Emergency contraceptives are taken after unprotected sex or even protected sex. He says, yes, that's what it is. It prevents pregnancy. They do the same job. I meant reformulate birth control, not Plan B. Sorry, I mistyped. Thought I was talking about something else for a minute, LOL. I support banning Plan B altogether then. So what I'm getting at, you're supposed to use protection when having sex. But a form of protection is birth control, which insurance companies would not be allowed to cover if this bill was passed. So there goes birth control. You're not allowed to use birth control. And then, if the condom doesn't work, breaks, or rips without you knowing it, or with you knowing it, you're not allowed to take Plan B. So there goes that. So now that you're pregnant, because you couldn't take birth control, and you couldn't take a Plan B or emergency contraceptive, you are now pregnant. Now that you're pregnant, you're forced to have the child because you can't have an abortion. Because everyone's like, you don't need birth control, you don't need Plan B because you can use protection. Birth control is a form of protection. You learn this in sex education, which I'm pretty sure, not positive, but pretty sure all states in the United States has sex education. You learn this, that condoms are not 200% reliable all of the time. So I say, what happens when you're using protection during sex and it breaks or rips? And he says, 7 hours later. I kept on contradicting myself in my response, so that signals that you changed my opinion on Plan B, even though I just formed it like 5 minutes ago, lol. But he spent a lot of time researching and forming his opinions. I'd say use it in that situation, but I wouldn't abuse it, so to say. So then we came to an agreement that, yeah, like, you're not supposed to abuse it. It does not mean that all men think this way, or no women think this way. It is just using men as a broad statement because of the fact that the people who are trying to pass this bill and the people who are representing this bill are 99% men. And let me just tell you about 99%, these 99% men. These people who represent their state supporting this bill were asked about rape. So, Clayton Williams, the representative from Texas for this bill, says, rape is kinda like the weather. If it's inevitable, relax and enjoy it. So now what I'm getting at this is that you're not allowed to take birth control. You are not allowed to use a Plan B. So rape is inevitable. So when you get pregnant from a man raping you, you had no protection. Keep in mind, men who rape women normally don't use a condom, okay? Because they're raping a woman. So, no condom protection, no protection from the birth control. They are not allowed to use a Plan B pill, considering they are still alive. And they are forced to give birth to the child of a rapist. Tell me how this makes sense. Like, I'm not understanding. Todd Adkin, another representative, says, if it's a legitimate rape, the female body has ways to shut that thing down. First of all, what is a non-legitimate rape? Like, define non-legitimate rape. A man is saying this. Like, that is what is getting to me. He is saying he knows the female body has ways to shut down its reproductive system when it's being raped. Rick Santorum, another representative, says, rape victims should make the best of a bad situation. I mean, I give this guy credit because he's a, glass half full type of guy. But I cannot imagine saying this face to face to a rape victim. I am not a victim of sexual assault or a victim of rape. But that has to be, and definitely is, so traumatizing to the mind and the body. And just to say, it's just a bad situation, make the best of it. Okay, this is Jody Lobenberg, a representative from Texas who is a woman, by the way, says, in the emergency room they have what's called rape kits, where a woman can get cleaned out. Now, I don't know what kind of emergency rooms they have in Texas, but I believe that's called abortion. Now this one. I am so livid by this man. Lawrence Lockman, another representative. Okay. If a woman has the right to an abortion, why shouldn't a man be free to use his superior strength to force himself on a woman? I'm gonna read this again. If a woman has the right to an abortion, which involves her body and her body only, why shouldn't a man be free to use his superior strength to force himself on a woman? Probably because that's against the law, involves someone else's body and mind. Then he continues to say, at least the rapist's pursuit of sexual freedom doesn't, in most cases, result in anyone's death. I don't even know what else to say about that, if we're being honest. So, after this video, if you still do not agree with anything I am saying, or some of the stuff I am saying, that is perfectly fine. This is not an attack on people who think differently than me. I am just saying, men do not have the right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with her body. So basically, if it is not your body, it is not your business. And if you don't believe that, then that's okay. But think of it from someone else's point of view instead of just your own. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and it gives you some things to think about. And even if you do not agree with me, that's okay. I just wanted to put that out there. I feel like this is something that I needed to speak up about for my own personal beliefs and what I stand for, because that is a big part of who I am, especially when it comes to women's rights. Like, I am a feminist, but a real feminist believes in the equality of the sexes and not overpowering of one sex over the other. So I believe that women and men should be treated equally, and not that women are better than men. So I wanted to put that out there as well, because I know that can be misinterpreted for when I say I stand for women's rights, or when I say that I'm a feminist. Like, I do not believe that women are better than men. I just believe that women should be treated as equally as men. Thank you guys for watching, and I'm working on a lot of new projects, as I say at the end of every one of my videos, but I am. Especially towards the end of the summer, I'm going to have a really, really amazing video that's going to come out, and I'm super excited to film that and work on that, edit that. So stay tuned for lots of exciting things, and I will see you guys very soon. Love spread to everyone.